So it's irreparably associated with the rain-soaked British summers that I remember as a child, where the England cricket team would magnanimously lose to any visiting team. Um,
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I'm Andy. The fellow over there in that awesome Wu-Tang shirt is my boy John, and we are here to listen to some music. So let's get to it. John, what do you have in store for us today, my friend? What will I be listening to?
so very, very special song by a special band. The band I'm sure you've heard of, Booker T and the MGs.
I have heard of Booker T and the MGs, but I couldn't tell you shit from them. So as far as what
Okay,
they
cool.
sound like or what I'm working with, I flying blind here.
Okay, the song, certain people in the UK have already seen the title and are like, oh, and it is Soul Limbo.
Soul Limbo. All right. It's an interesting title. Okay. Well, let me get off and see how low I can go and give this thing a spin, and then I'll come back and let you know what I've made of it. Yeah, I'm liking this. Oh my God, this is short, and I'm taking it all the way back. I'm sorry. I need to relive those 34 seconds. It's so rhythmic, which is probably pretty obvious. But and the organ coming in there, it's not. I mean, it's not wailing, but it's really coming in and giving it this. I don't know, this little shot of semi-abrasiveness, while everything else is quite polished. And I just love that slight but present contrast between the sounds. Yeah, it is almost instantaneously like movement inducing. You hear that cowbell, and that's all it takes. And then, of course, they're just going to build onto that, which, is enough to almost get me out of my seat. I mean, for the sake of doing this reaction, I'm pretty sure it's important that I stay planted. But yeah, this is great. It really makes me want to move. Simple but lovely string work. Nice little break. Where's my colorful drink and some hollowed out piece of fruit with a miniature umbrella in it? I need that stat. That's great. Marimba? that was a little short-lived for my liking. Which is a compliment in and of itself, right? If you like so much what you're hearing that you wish it would continue, but you're slightly saddened by the fact that it came to not I wouldn't say abrupt, but an ending sooner than you would have desired. There is a compliment in there, right? Because it just sounded so damn good. The plonking of the marimbas, if that's what that was just absolutely fabulous. The really simple little guitar like riff that goes on in there is like simple but so playful and fun, and it's kind of like the hands that are like pulling you slightly against your will onto the dance floor, but halfway from your seat to the dance floor, and inhibition is thrown to the wind, and you are fully, committed to the pull of the rhythmic sirens of the song. Yeah, this is just a lot of fun. My only critique is that it's too brief. You know, fun shouldn't be cut this short. It should last longer. Oh my goodness, yes. I wanted sand between my feet. I wanted to literally smell the sea salt that I could get the essence of as I was listening to this. Yeah, I want the cold drink and the belly laughs and the good times that this song connotes. Yeah, yeah, a lot of fun. All right, I imagine John's got some more to say on this one. Hopefully, what he has to say lasts longer than the song itself, but let's get back to him.
Amy Turtle, he's back. So you've listened to Soul Limbo by Booker T and the MGs. What make of it, you?
Well, uh, things kick off with some very rhythmic strikes on that cowbell that do more.
Very famous person is hidden that cowbell.
Oh, really?
Yes, I can't
Someone,
hold it
someone
in
who's
any
got more
longer.
than just a dash of rhythm, I would imagine. But who is it?
Yes, it was a person who was a staff member and producer at Stax Records, who then went on to have somewhat of a solo career. And the person on the cowbells was Isaac Hayes.
No shit, really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my god, that's it's so funny too because like I'm not trying to take anything away from those who are proficient at the cowbell, but anybody
yeah.
can probably pull off. That's so great that they got Isaac Hayes to, hey man, just beat on this right, okay? Yeah,
I think it
sure.
was before, would have been before or around the time he started performing as an artist. So,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. All right, so this is well, that
So
sheds
it
a
was
little bit of
way,
light on
well
these
before
two.
Shaft or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. All right. Well, then I shouldn't be so
chef.
surprised that there was all this great rhythmic movement in the cowbell strikes. But yeah, it's those strikes are already cajoling me to like move my head, neck, and shoulders, and we're just like literal seconds into this track. Then come in these pointed key strikes, which sync up with the cowbell in the same pattern, adding another layer of musical movement to the track. And I was already looking for my colorful drink served on ice in a hollowed out piece of fruit, accompanied with a miniature umbrella. Alas, it's nowhere to be found. I guess I'll just stick to this iced coffee. Um, yeah, you're one step closer. It looks like by the shade of that drink. And then at the 10-second mark, an organ plays a couple notes before a brief glissando of sorts that then launches into its accompanying motif. And we're also introduced to these jaunty two-beat patterns on the snare that injects this almost skipping-like movement to the track, which doesn't come as a surprise but is welcome. And as the guitar noodles away at that simple, playful little melody, I believe there are hand claps that join in on the downbeat to inject some additional texture to the percussions. Then the music cuts out at the 35-second mark, save for that incessantly infectious cowbell beat by Mr. Hayes. But this is just rather short lived as the musical compatriots rejoin within a couple of seconds. And this happens again shortly after the 1 minute mark, but when the music returns this time, it's punctuated by the strike of a singular note on the bass that's accented by some keys a few times before it launches back into the main motif. And over top this, we get treated to this like really joyful little walkabout by the marimba. And now more than ever during this listen, I feel the warm rays of sunshine wash over me and take in the sense of clean sea salt. Which reminds me, I'm still waiting on that beach themed cocktail I ordered a while ago. At the 135 mark, the keys cut out again, leaving just the percussions. But within a few seconds, the organ comes calling, and as it stretches and resonates over the soundscape, the bass and guitar continue to play that very earwormy little melody. And at this point, the song feels fully realized and has like hit this lovely stride that I wish would have continued for a bit longer. Because just as I'm closing my eyes and letting it wash over me, the track, starts to fade, which makes jars me back to reality. I'm like, oh shit, we're already coming up on the end. So yeah, this was a treat, truly, but the one that I wish had lasted longer. Like any beachfront vacation. I mean, it's had that kind of ironic twist to it where just like a vacation where you're enjoying, or a holiday where you're enjoying these scenes and smells and, the culture of the people. Next thing you know, it's shit, I got to get back to reality tomorrow and catch a flight. That's kind of what this last bit felt like. Like so many of the different kinds of chewing gum from my youth, the flavor was incredible, but it was gone too soon. So I have to admit, though, that despite the brief runtime, the track did transport me to another place, and a welcome one at that. So how can I really kvetch too much? It's a lot more cost effective and safer than purchasing a plane ticket these days, anyway. So this nice little mini vacation was a welcome one. Great stuff, and just so much fun. So tell me more about these guys. I mean, you've already sort of given me an idea of when it came out. I mean, young Isaac Hayes being featured on, of all things, the cowbell. My interest is already peaked beyond just where it was when I heard the song. So tell me a bit more, John.
Okay, so there is a really specific reason why I chose this track, because it is summer. I'll get into that in a sec.
Mhm.
Um, Booker T and the MGs, fascinating band, lots of stories. So I'll try and be brief and keep this under the hour. They're an American instrumental R&B and jazz band formed in Memphis, Tennessee, which is in the United States of America, in 1962. The band helped shape the sound of Southern Soul and Memphis Soul. I would say, in terms of important bands that shaped genres, you would say that sort of heavy rock, Led Zepp, the heavy metal, Black Sabbath. These guys, Memphis Soul and Southern Soul, they
Mhm.
are hugely important. So, original members of the group were Booker T. Jones, organ piano, Steve Cropper, guitar, Louis Steinberg, bass, and Al Jackson Jr., drums. In 1965, Steinberg was replaced by Donald Duck Dunn, who played with the group until his death in 2012. Al Jackson Jr. was murdered in 1975, after which Dunn, Crop, and Jones reunited on numerous occasions using various different drummers. Brief thing about Al Jackson Jr. During his tenure at Stax Records, he became one of the most influential drummers in the history of recorded music, providing an instantly recognizable backbeat behind the label's artists. Jackson was affectionately dubbed the human timekeeper for his drumming ability. In the 70s, he co-wrote and played on several hits by Al Green, including Let's Stay Together, I'm Still in Love with You. He was also a session drummer for many artists, including Elvis Presley, Bill Withers, Wilson Pickett, Jerry Lee Lewis, Eric Clapton, Aretha Franklin, Rod Stewart, and many, many more.
Those are some names that you've just dropped.
Yes. So, like they had there in the 60s on the West Coast, the Wrecking Crew, they called it, which was session musicians that did loads of music over there. These guys were doing the same for Stax. And you had a similar one for Motown as well. Having two white members, initially Cropper and Steinberg, later Cropper and Dunn, and then two black members, Jones and Jackson Jr., Booker T MGs were one of the first racially integrated rock groups at a time when soul music and the Memphis scene in particular was considered just the preserve of black culture. So again, really important. So as I said, they formed the house band of Stax Records, providing backing music for numerous singers. So they did that, and they had their band, and they sometimes call themselves the Marquees as well. So they put out their output and do this. But they did stuff for backing for Wilson Pickett, Otis Redding. Um, in the summer of '62, 17-year-old keyboardist Booker T. Jones and 20-year-old guitarist Steve Cropper um, combined with the two season players Steinberg and Jackson, and they were in a Memphis studio to back the former Sun Records star Billy Lee Riley. Never heard of him either. During the downtime, the four started playing around and jamming with this bluesy organ riff. Jim Stewart, the president of Stax Records, was in the control booth. He liked what he heard and he hit record. Cropper remembered a little riff that Jones had come up with weeks earlier, and before long they had a second track as well. So Stewart wanted to release the single with the first track, which was called Behave Yourself, as the A side, and the second track as B side. Cropper and radio disc jockeys thought otherwise. So soon, Stax released Booker T and the MGs, Green Onions, backed with Behave Yourself. In the interview BBC Radio in 2008, Cropper recalled the song's immediate popularity after Reuben Washington, a disc jockey of Memphis radio station WLOK, played it 4 times in a row, prompting calls from listeners ringing in to ask if it had been released yet. The single went straight to #1 in the US Billboard R&B chart and #3 in the pop charts. Sold over 1 million copies, certified gold disc. Yeah, at 17, that's not bad for the keyboard. Unbelievable. And it's one of those big songs that you'll hear everywhere all the time, using films, advertising, whatever. As soon as you hear it, you'll know it.
Yeah.
Booker T and the MGs continued to issue instrumental singles and albums throughout the 60s. So the group was successful recording combo in its own right, but most of the work they did was as the de facto house band of Stax Records. So along with Otis Redding, Sam and Dave, Albert King, Johnny Taylor, Eddie Floyd, the stable singers Wilson Pickett, and many, many others. They played on hundreds of records, including classics like Walking the Dog, Hold On, I'm Coming, on which multi-instrumentalist Booker played tuba over Dunn's bass line. The Soul Man, Who's Making Love, I've Been Loving You Too Long to Stop Now, and Try a Little Tenderness. They were the band on that.
Jesus.
Wow.
I had no idea.
So, yeah, along with their counterparts in Detroit.
Soul Man?
Yeah. Sam and Dave, I'm a soul man. Yeah. Along with their counterparts in Detroit, Motown's Funk Brothers, they were also a backing band to loads of hits. They're considered to originate most of the sound of soul music, in particular with the MG's Southern Soul, in which the groove is paramount. The Stax House Band set a standard for soul music, whereas the sign outside Motown Records read Hitsville, USA. The marquee outside the converted movie theatre where Stax Records was proclaimed Soulsville, USA. So Soul Limbo was the band's 7th studio album released in '68.
Oh, wow.
The title track features a marimba solo by Terry Manning and cowbells by Mr. Isaac Hayes. I think he'd actually produced some of their earlier albums as well. It references the Trinidadian dance, the Limbo, which had a surge of popularity in the States during the mid-'70s. Mid-'50s, sorry. The song makes use of common chord progression, was featured in such 50s and 60s hits such as La Bamba, Louie Louie, and Wild Thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go. So the album also features an excellent version of the title theme from the Clint Eastwood film Hang 'em High. There's 7 further cover songs on the album, including versions of Eleanor Rigby and Foxy Lady.
That's interesting.
The title track, which you listen to, is definitely best known in the United Kingdom as the theme tune to BBC Television's cricket coverage and also for BBC Radio's Test Match special. It is the sound introducing cricket across the nation, particularly. So it's irreparably associated with the rain-soaked British summers that I remember as a child, where the England cricket team would magnanimously lose to any visiting team. Yeah, it's just an awesome track, which it's a really interesting way you see that how the British culture is able to absorb and adapt cultures from around the world, particularly ex-Commonwealth,
Yeah.
stuff. So, you know, curries and or whatever. Basically, food and music are the two
Yes.
things, and ska music and stuff like that.
Well, those
But
are two huge pillars of culture. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it
exactly.
makes sense.
But
Yeah.
there are pasty old white men in their 80s with the egg and bacon lord's tie that absolutely love this music because it's
Yeah.
ingrained, which is the real. And if you put this on somewhere, there are people over a certain age who actually go apeshit for it, which is really odd, but really, really funny as well. So yeah, that's why I gave it to you because it's just a stalwart of. It's one of like the alternative national anthems of this country, along with a theme from The Archers and Coronation Street and other stuff. Um, so in 1970, Booker T and MGs recorded Mucklemore Avenue, named for the street where Stack Records was located, on which they performed instrumental covers of 13 of the songs on Abbey Road, and condensing 12 of them into 3 melodies.
Wow.
In 1971, um, the band released what would be their last act single, Melting Pot, and an album of the same name. Um, it's really cool, and it has this repetitive groove-orientated sort of drumming and looping bass line. And it was massively popular in New York City block parties, which then spawned obviously hip hop. And the song has been really heavily sampled by rappers and techno DJs. So before Melting Pot had been recorded, Jones already left Stax and moved to California because he disliked all the changes that occurred under the label's new chairman, Al Bell. Steve Cropper had also become unhappy with business affairs at Stax and soon left to open his own studio in Memphis. Without Jones, the group simply called the MGs, released a final single, Jamaica This Morning, in October 71. It failed to chart, and the group name was retired for the time being. In 1975, 4 years after the release of their last album, the members of Booker T and MGs decided to give each other 3 months to finish up all their individual products, and then they would then devote the next 3 years to what would be renamed Booker T and the Memphis Group. 9 days after that meeting, on October the 1st, Al Jackson, the man Cropper would remember as the greatest drummer ever to walk the earth, was murdered in his home.
Oh.
So on September the 30th, 75, Jackson was scheduled to fly from Memphis to Detroit to produce a major launch session, but he delayed the session so he could watch the Thriller in Manila on the big screen in the Mid-South Coliseum. After the fight, Jackson returned to the home he shared with his estranged wife, Barbara Jackson. That previous July, Barbara Jackson had shot her husband in the chest after he had assaulted her, with attempted murder charges against Barbara Jackson being dropped when a Memphis City court judge determined she had acted in self-defense. Al Jackson had since started the process of filing divorce and was intended to move out of the house. At approximately 11 p.m., Barbara Jackson had returned home from a beauty parlor and was ambushed inside the house by a single black man who demanded money before restraining her while he searched the house. Al Jackson soon returned home and was accosted by the intruder, who forced Jackson to lie down on the floor before he shot him multiple times with a pistol. Barbara Jackson managed to free herself enough to leave the house, where a police sergeant passing by saw her. Police found Jackson dead from 5 gunshots in the back. The killer, described as a tall black man, 25 to 30 years old, with an afro haircut and a moustache, had fled with some jewelry and the contents of Jackson's pockets. He would never be identified. Various theories have been proposed for the motivation behind Jackson's murder, but no charges in Jackson's death have ever been filed. So there's this soul, man, they always have these dark stories,
Yeah.
bad endings,
I
anyway.
wonder if any of that conjecture was surrounded like her possible involvement
Yeah,
as a plan.
definitely. But
Yeah.
nothing was proven. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's interesting. And as you said, dark.
Yeah. I mean, so we read that stuff with Al Green that we talked
Yeah.
about with his ex-missus and all that, and obviously Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
Sam and Dave. I mean, it goes on. So anyway, over the next decade, Cropper, Dunn, and Jones remained active, producing, writing, and playing with other artists. In 1977, Cropper and Dunn became part of the Blues Brothers band, appearing on the #1 album Briefcase Full of Blues. They also appeared in the 1980 movie The Blues Brothers, starring Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and that's why I first encountered them. And Donald Duck Dunn had his pipe, unbelievable. But I didn't realise they were such legends. I mean, obviously, clearly talented. So the band was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1992. the Musicians Hall of Fame and Museum in Nashville, Tennessee in 2008, and the Memphis Music Hall of Fame in 2012, and the Blues Hall of Fame in 2019. In 2004, Rolling Stone ranked the group number 93 on a list of 100 greatest artists of all time. And in 2007, the group received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Awards.
Nice.
In 2012, Dunn died following 2 concerts in Tokyo. Since his death, the band has, for the most part, just gone their separate ways. Cropper toured with the Blues Brothers again. Jones is still performs as a solo artist, releasing new material under his name only. Steve Cropper died in December 2025. For many years, Stax publicity releases stated that the initials in the band's name stood for Memphis Group, not the MG sports car. However, musician and record producer Chips Moorman, who worked at Stax Records when the band was formed, claimed the band were named after his sports car. Moorman had played with Jones and Steinberg and an earlier Stax backing group called the Triumphs, which were also named after his car. Stax historian Rob Bowman has said that the reason the label obscured the story of the meaning of the MGs and concocted Memphis Group was to avoid claims of trademark infringement from the manufacturer of the car, obviously. But in 2019, Steve Cropper confirmed the motor car origin and the Memphis Group explanation, but added, "We've been interviewed and someone asked, what does MG actually stand for? And Doug Dunn said, musical geniuses." So there you go. Soul Limbo, Booker T and the MGs.
Yeah, it's great. And you know what's funny is when you don't know the name of a group, you don't realize how many of their songs you know and are iconic. And now I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I am familiar with these guys fairly, actually.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get all the backstory and all the information, the biographical
really
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it is.
And it's summertime. By the time this drops, the drizzle will be coming down in the British Isles that marks the start of summer. So yeah, I thought I'd yeah. Morning,
Nice.
Jeffrey. Morning, everybody. It's a lovely day at Lords. England won the toss and decided to capitulate. Yeah, so that's how it goes. Yeah, but I'm glad you really liked it. It's a great little sort of blast of sunshine and real sort of atmospheric piece. So yeah, cool.
For sure.
Okay, I shall wrap things up, folks. Out there, thanks for listening, Sandy. Folks
Thank
out
you.
there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button. Even like in the words of 10cc, you don't like cricket. Drop some comments. We'd love to hear what you think about the song. It's really interesting because for the most part, like a lot of songs that are used for theme tunes, you're only familiar with the first maybe 40 seconds or 60 seconds of a song. So then it stops and it goes into that other bit. And, oh, this is new.
Yeah.
Like the theme to Grandstand and another British TV sports, which is one of my favourite theme tunes of all time. You hear the full version that goes on for about 3 minutes. It's so odd. Goes off into some weird sort of instrumental bit. But yeah, so please, we'd love to hear what you think. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. We really appreciate everybody who does support the channel. So hop on board or limbo on down, whichever you prefer. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
We'll see you later, guys.